Where's that worthless cat? You don't live here. Go away. Say goodbye, YouTube. I had a nice clean Volvo this morning. Now I got pee all over the tires because I got a dog that doesn't live here, a dog that doesn't live here, a dog that doesn't live here, invited by a cat that doesn't live here. I'm running a zoo here. Get out of here, all of you. Say goodbye to YouTube. We're at our secret garage, so what are we driving today? A 2017 Volvo Wagon. We test drove the Volvo V90 T6 sedan a few months ago. The station wagon version should have a bit more room inside. And here's a rear view, and I think this car is a very attractive machine myself. I don't see any problems with the styling. If you pay attention to the news media, you might have heard that the Chinese purchased Volvo, and that's true, but it's not a Chinese car. It's mainly European parts, and it is still assembled in Sweden, not by Asian day laborers, so the quality is still rather high. The price of admission starts around $55,000, but as always, there are options that jack the price up. I'll just scroll down, you can see it on the camera. There you go. Of all the options, the Bowers & Wilkins stereo system is well worth the $3,200. Trust me on this. The LED headlights on the sedan we had were about as perfect as it gets, so we'll take the headlights out. That appear to be the same, but we'll test them in the dark just to make sure. Okay, it's dark enough. Let's try these headlights out. Let's see how they perform. Here we have the low beams on a building 100 feet away. Very bright light. A bit on the low side. Here are the high beams. Wow. Now that's some serious light there. Here we have the high beams on the building 300 feet away. Plenty of light. No complaints here. Go to low beam. Just barely reaching out to the fence line, but the lights are bright enough for city driving. Just a note, as you can see, these headlights do swivel with the steering wheel position. Turn left, they go left. Turn right, they go right. Comes in very handy when taking tight mountain corners, which we will not be doing tonight. Strictly street driving, but it works all the same. If you're in the habit of driving down dark alleys, these are the headlights for you. I just washed and waxed this Volvo today, and I've got footprints all over it, and I wonder who the culprit is. You're gonna get it. Quit messing up my expensive cars. Yeah, you. Every time I pop the hood, onlookers expect a nice V8 or V6 under the hood. Not to be. Actually, under all this plumbing is a tiny 2-liter 4-cylinder. Fortunately, with a supercharger and a turbocharger, that's right, it has both, we're cranking out 316 horsepower and lots of bottom end torque. It's hooked to an 8-speed automatic transmission. And our EPA government rates this at 22 mpg in the city and 30 on the highway. We'll be giving you the real-world figures later on in this video. By the way, this particular vehicle had all-wheel drive for four-wheel traction in rain, snow, or mud. That, of course, puts a bit of drag on the engine. We'll see how it affects that as soon as we start driving it. For those interested in saving money, there's a milder version of this engine putting out 250 horsepower. I haven't driven it, and that'll be the subject of another video. By the way, you have different drive modes. You have dynamic, off-road, comfort, and eco, which is controlled by this drive mode button on the console. Just below the stop-start. An unusual place to put it, but it works just fine, thank you. The majority controls are on this touch screen. To some people, that's the good news. The bad news is, even simple things like adjusting the climate control instead of turning a knob, you got to bring up this menu, bring up the temperatures. When you're driving 70 miles per hour on the freeway, taking your eyes off the road to do this isn't very comforting. And programming your presets on the radio, I haven't figured out how to do that yet. Maybe later. We did get a nice 360-degree camera system. We have all kinds of features on this screen, like lane keeping aid, parking assist, cross traffic alert, distance alert, automatic stop. Now you can disconnect all of these. That's the good news. The problem is, if you turn the ignition off and restart it, you got to do all this over again. The only actual knob you have is the volume control for the stereo. Everything else is touchscreen. Now, I did find it to be a pain in the butt to use for the first 4 or 5 days on the other Volvo I had. By the end of the week, I learned it pretty well. There is a learning curve here, and you better start reading the owner's manual if you want to speed up your knowledge. Some people will love this, some people will not love it. It's all a matter of personal preference, I suppose. In the meantime, this is what the dash looks like. A very nice design. The glove box is large enough. Get a small center console. These rear seats do fold down, but there is a trick involved. You simply get into the back. By the way, there's lots of room back here. And there is a spare tire underneath this platform. But getting back to the seats, just hit these magic buttons. And down they go. If you have relatives you don't like or rowdy kids that are annoying you, just press the button while they're sitting in it and I think they'll get the message. This car has what I consider to be 2 flaws, so let's just get it out of the way. Number 1, the sun visors do not slide back and forth, so it's very difficult to block the sun out of the side windows in the early morning or afternoons. I find this rather amazing. Even the little $12,000 cheap economy cars have sun visors that slide, but not going to happen here. Come on, Volvo, seriously. By the way, it's 110 degrees today. When the sun comes through this glass spot here, it bakes your face like a potato. Also, the rocker panel bodywork underneath the door is too wide. Every time you get in and out of the car, your legs rubbing on this panel here. If you live where there's mud, snow, dirt, sand, it's going to get on your pants, so keep some rags and Windex handy. A minor annoyance, but not that serious. The dash has a tendency to reflect into the windshield, as you can see. There's the speaker there. There's the speaker in the windshield. It only happens at certain times of the day. It's not that big a deal, but some people might find it a little annoying. It's not a deal breaker. Okay, enough show and tell. The proof is in the driving, so let's get this thing on the road and see how it does. If you're worried about this little 4-cylinder engine being underpowered, don't. Even with the massive weight of this car and the all-wheel drive, it's got plenty of power. Not an issue. A very smooth and quiet engine, and these brakes, absolutely perfect. By the way, the air conditioning system in this car is excellent. Really cools the interior off even though it's 108 degrees outside. Actually, it was 112 a minute ago. Oh, going up to 109 again. A very nice climate control system. No complaints at all. I was going to take this on some curvy mountain roads to try the handling out, but because this is a Memorial Day weekend with the traffic, I don't think so. I'll have to be satisfied with my little turning circle here at my test track. Pretty good balance. Nice feel on the power steering too. The previous Volvo sedan we had a very smooth ride, even though those large 20-inch wheels did a lot of thumping on these speed bumps. So we're going to take this out on some speed bumps and see how it compares. I've been driving this on the street for 3 or 4 days. There does seem to be a bit more harshness from hitting potholes, but well, we'll see what happens. We're not in the dynamic mode, we're in the everyday comfort mode. Okay, let's give it a shot around 25 miles per hour. I hear the thumping, but don't feel much. .30 miles per hour. Here comes the nasty bump. A little bit stiffer than the sedan in the rear. The rear end's a bit jittery, but otherwise not much difference. So with a longer wheelbase, I would expect the wagon to be a bit smoother than the sedan. Overall, it's pretty close, aside from the bit of thumping from the rear end here. So why would that be? Well, it can't be the wheels or tires, because on the sedan we had large 20-inch wheels pumped up to 39 pounds of air as the factory required. Here we have 19-inch wheels with 34 pounds required, and actually they're downloaded to 32. And both vehicles were all-wheel drive, not front-wheel drive, so that's not an issue. And we were not driving in the dynamic mode, we switched to the comfort everyday mode. So let's look at the option list again. Here we go, premium air suspension in rear, $1,200 extra. There's your difference. This vehicle does have the ground clearance for light-duty off-road use, and with four-wheel drive traction even more so. I suspect that rear air suspension is there to beef things up when you're going off-roading. Plus, I suspect it keeps the rear end stable when you're hauling heavy loads in the back here. So if the price we have to pay is a little bit of harshness on speed bumps, I don't see that being a problem. This is still a comfortable vehicle to drive, just like the sedan. This Volvo Wagon is a very nice freeway cruiser. Very comfortable, quiet, nice sound system, low wind noise. Great for taking long trips. Here's our highway trip, 26.9 mpg. I think that's the best we're going to see. It's a lot cooler outside because we're driving at night. Looks like we got an improvement in gas mileage at 30.5 mpg. So I guess we can do better. Since we have this fancy computer screen set up, I thought I'd play around with it and see what type of information I could extract. And here's something right here. This car has gone 842 miles in the past 24 hours and averaged 22.7 mpg, which is pretty close to the 25 mpg average claimed on the EPA window sticker. I'd say that's a pretty good figure. By the way, this wagon is available with a very nice panorama glass roof. Probably not something you'd want to use on a day like this when it's 109 degrees outside, but it's there if you need it. After a week of driving, here's my take on this Volvo wagon. As far as the screen setup, I'm a low-tech guy. I like simple mechanical knobs, and for the first few days I used this, it was a pain in the ass. On the other hand, I understand that probably 90% of the people who are going to buy this Volvo are high-tech people. They have their Androids, iPads, smartphones, Bluetooth, and they're going to love this. So I think Volvo made the right decision to get a system like this. I think most people will like it. The fact I don't is just me. It's just an opinion. And besides, if you're buying the car and you're going to live with it for 3 years, you'll figure everything out. So we'll put that aside as far as the rest of the car. As far as the rest of the car, if you're looking for a European wagon and you really don't care what you're seeing at the Audi, BMW, and Mercedes lot, this is definitely a nice alternative. In fact, in many ways, I find it to be a better vehicle. I think it's got better styling, a more plush interior. And if you live in a big city where German luxury cars are a dime a dozen, you'll definitely stand out in this and get lots of compliments. So that might make the price of admission worth it right there. If you're shopping for a high-end European station wagon or light-duty SUV, this Volvo Cross Country is definitely worth a look.